Eric sits under the harsh studio lights, strapped to a lie detector. His face is pale, beads of sweat forming on his forehead. The host, a woman with a voice like a knife, hammers him with questions. The audience leans in, hungry for the drama. I'm in the front row, my hands gripping the armrests. Every muscle in my body is tense, coiled like a spring ready to snap. You've denied cheating on your wife, Lily, but can you say, without a doubt, that you've been faithful? The host's words hang in the air, and for a second, everything goes silent. Eric hesitates, his eyes flickering toward the floor. My heart pounds in my chest, a dull thud that drowns out everything else. I'm James, 35, just an ordinary guy. I work in finance, nothing exciting, but it pays the bills. My life has always been about stability. Me, my wife Sarah, and our two kids, Emily and Jake. We've been married for 8 years, and I thought we had a good thing going. But lately, something's been off. Sarah's been distant, always on her phone, and there's this weird tension between her and Eric. I've tried to ignore it, but now, sitting here, I can't shake the feeling that something's horribly wrong. Eric's married to my sister Lily. They've been together for 5 years, and we're all close. Too close, maybe. We spend weekends together, vacations, holidays. Eric's always been charming, maybe a little too much for his own good, but I never thought he'd actually cross the line. At least I didn't want to believe it. The lie detector machine beeps softly, a sound that makes my skin crawl. Eric looks up, and his eyes meet mine. There's something there, something dark and guilty, and it sends a cold shiver down my spine. The host pushes harder. Eric, have you ever had an affair? There's a pause, a brief flicker of something in his eyes, and then he drops the bomb. I might be the father of James's kids. The words slam into me like a freight train. I can't breathe, can't think. My vision blurs and the world tilts on its axis. The audience gasps, a collective intake of breath that echoes in my ears. My body reacts before my mind catches up. I'm out of my seat, charging toward the stage. I barely register the chaos around me, the screams, the movement of people trying to stop me. My fist connects with Eric's jaw, a solid, satisfying thud that sends him sprawling to the ground. He looks up at me, stunned, blood trickling from his lip. The rage that's been simmering inside me finally erupts. I stand over him, my chest heaving, fists clenched, ready to hit him again. Security swarms around us, pulling me back, dragging me off the stage. The host shouts for calm, but it's too late. The damage is done. I'm escorted out of the studio, my mind a chaotic mess of anger, betrayal, and disbelief. My life, as I knew it, is over. The aftermath of the TV show is pure chaos. The second the episode airs, my phone doesn't stop buzzing. Calls, texts, emails. Everyone wants to know what happened, if it's true. But I'm in no mood to talk. I storm out of the studio, my mind a swirling mess of anger and disbelief. By the time I get home, I'm barely holding it together. I can feel the rage simmering under my skin, ready to explode. Sarah is waiting for me in the living room, eyes red from crying. Her face is pale, and she looks like she's been through hell. But her tears do nothing for me. They don't soften the blow of what I just heard. They don't erase the image of Eric, confessing that he might be the father of my kids. The kids I've loved and raised thinking they were mine. It's a betrayal so deep, so profound, that I can barely breathe. James, please, let me explain. Sarah starts, her voice trembling. But I can't even look at her. The sight of her makes my stomach churn. I need answers, but I'm not sure I can handle hearing them. How long? I ask, my voice cold and detached. I keep my eyes fixed on a spot on the wall, unable to meet her gaze. She hesitates, and that hesitation is all I need to know how bad this is going to be. It was 2 years ago, she finally says. It was a mistake, James, I swear. It didn't mean anything. 2 years ago. The words feel like knives in my throat. Jake is 2 years old. Right before Jake was born, right? She nods, and it's like someone punched me in the gut. I feel the air leave my lungs, and for a moment, I think I'm going to pass out. Jake might not be mine. The thought is too much to process, too horrifying to accept. I grip the back of the couch, trying to steady myself. Get out, I say, my voice barely a whisper. Get out, Sarah. She doesn't move, just stands there, looking at me with those tear-filled eyes like she's the victim in all of this. James, please! Get out! I roar, the words exploding out of me before I can stop them. She flinches, takes a step back, but still doesn't leave. I'm not leaving, she says, her voice shaky but determined. We need to talk about this. We need to figure this out, for the kids. Are they even mine? I snap, finally turning to face her. The pain in her eyes is almost unbearable, but I don't care. I need to know. Are they even mine, Sarah? She crumbles at that, sinking to her knees on the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. I don't know, she cries. I don't know, James. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I can't take it. I can't listen to her anymore. I grab my keys and walk out the door, leaving her there, broken and crying. I don't know where I'm going. I just know I need to get out of there. Away from her, away from everything. I drive aimlessly for hours, the city lights blurring past me as I try to outrun the thoughts racing through my mind. I end up at a cheap hotel, the kind where the carpets are stained and the smell of cigarettes clings to everything. I check in, get to my room, and down half a bottle of whiskey before I finally pass out. My mind blessedly blank for the first time since Eric dropped that bombshell. When I wake up, the reality hits me like a freight train. My head is pounding, my mouth tastes like ash, and the memories of the night before come flooding back, sharper and more painful than ever. I sit on the edge of the bed, staring at the stained carpet, trying to figure out what the hell I'm going to do next. I can't avoid it forever. I have to go back, have to face Sarah, have to deal with the mess my life has become. I take a long shower, trying to wash away the lingering effects of the whiskey, then head home, feeling like I'm walking into a war zone. Sarah is in the kitchen when I get back, making breakfast for the kids like it's any other day. But it's not any other day. Nothing will ever be the same again. She looks up when I walk in, and the look on her face tells me she's been dreading this moment as much as I have. I walk past her, straight to the kids who are sitting at the table, oblivious to the storm brewing around them. Emily, my sweet, bright Emily, gives me a big smile when she sees me. Morning, Daddy, she says, her voice full of joy. Morning, sweetheart, I reply, forcing a smile onto my face. I ruffle her hair, then do the same for Jake, who's too busy mashing his cereal into the table to pay much attention to me. For a moment, I forget about everything. I forget about the betrayal, the lies, the uncertainty. All I see are my kids, the two little people who mean more to me than anything in this world. But then Sarah clears her throat, and reality crashes back down around me. James, we need to talk, she says, her voice small and tentative. I nod, knowing she's right. We need to talk, need to figure out what the hell we're going to do. But I can't do it in front of the kids. Not here, I say, my voice low. Not in front of them. She nods, and we both go through the motions of getting the kids ready for the day, avoiding each other's eyes, avoiding the conversation that's hanging over our heads. Once the kids are settled in front of the TV, I lead Sarah into the living room and close the door behind us. Start talking, I say, crossing my arms over my chest. She takes a deep breath, looking like she's about to be sick. It was a mistake, she says again. It was one night, James. I was drunk. We both were. It didn't mean anything. It didn't mean anything? I repeat, incredulous. You slept with my sister's husband, and it didn't mean anything? Tears spill over her cheeks, and she looks at me with those wide, pleading eyes that used to make my heart melt. Not anymore. Now they just make me feel sick. I love you, she says, her voice breaking. I love you, James. I never wanted to hurt you. But you did, I say, my voice flat. You destroyed everything. She collapses onto the couch, burying her face in her hands. I know, she sobs. I know I did. I hate myself for it, James. I hate myself for hurting you, for hurting our family. I watch her cry, and for a moment I feel a flicker of something, pity maybe, or the remnants of the love I used to feel for her. But it's not enough. It's not enough to make me forgive her, to make me forget what she did. We need to know, I say finally, my voice cold and hard. We need to know if the kids are mine. She looks up at me, her face streaked with tears. What if they're not? She whispers, her voice full of fear. I don't have an answer for that. I don't even want to think about it. We'll deal with that if it happens, I say, though the words feel hollow, even to me. I leave the room before she can say anything else, needing to get away from her, from the suffocating weight of everything that's happened. I go upstairs to the bathroom and splash cold water on my face, trying to clear my head, but the thoughts keep coming, relentless and unforgiving. A few days later, I make the arrangements for the DNA test. It feels like I'm signing the death warrant for my marriage, but I need to know. I can't live with this uncertainty, with this gnawing doubt that eats away at me every time I look at my kids. As I wait for the results, the world around me starts to unravel. Sarah's confession is just the tip of the iceberg. The more I dig into Eric's involvement in our lives, the more I realize how deep his betrayal goes. He wasn't just sleeping with my wife. He was manipulating us, using us for his own gain. It's like a nightmare I can't wake up from, each revelation worse than the last. I don't sleep much anymore. Every time I close my eyes, I see Eric's face, hear his voice, feel the anger boiling up inside me. The weight of the truth is crushing me, suffocating me. I start drinking more, anything to numb the pain, to drown out the thoughts that won't leave me alone. The house feels like a prison. Sarah and I barely speak, and when we do, it's strained and awkward, like we're strangers living under the same roof. The kids sense something is wrong, but they don't understand. They just know that mommy and daddy don't smile at each other anymore, that the house is filled with a tension they can't quite put into words. I can't keep living like this. I can't keep pretending that everything is okay when it's not. The day the DNA results arrive, I sit in my car outside the clinic. I sit in my car outside the clinic, the envelope in my hand feeling like it weighs a ton. This is it. The moment that will either shatter the last remnants of my life or give me something, anything, to hold on to. My hands tremble as I tear it open. My heart hammers against my chest and I force myself to breathe, to focus. The first words hit me like a sledgehammer. Jake isn't mine. I feel the world shift beneath me, everything tilting off its axis. The air is sucked out of my lungs and for a moment I can't see, can't think. I just sit there staring at those words, as if by some miracle they'll change. But they don't. Jake isn't mine. I should have known. The timelines always added up, but I didn't want to believe it. Now the cold clinical print confirms my worst fears. My son, no, not my son, Eric's son, has been a living, breathing lie. A part of me wants to scream, to cry, to hit something, but I can't. I'm numb. Completely and utterly numb. But there's still Emily. I cling to that thought like a lifeline. I can't lose her too, but the results for her are delayed, and that uncertainty gnaws at me, driving me to the edge. I need answers. I need to know if she's mine. The thought of losing her, of finding out she's not mine either, is unbearable. I can't let myself think that far ahead. Not yet. I drive home in a daze, the city blurring around me. Everything feels surreal, like I'm trapped in someone else's nightmare. When I pull into the driveway, Sarah is standing by the window watching for me. Her face lights up with hope, but that hope quickly dies when she sees the look on my face. I walk in without a word, my body on autopilot, moving toward the kitchen like I'm following some pre-programmed routine. Sarah hovers behind me, the tension between us thick enough to choke on. "What did it say?" she finally asks, her voice barely above a whisper. I turn to her, the anger boiling up inside me again, hot and raw. "Jake isn't mine," I say, the words coming out like poison. Her face crumples and she reaches out to me, but I pull back, the rage keeping her at arm's length. "How could you do this to me? How could you lie to me every single day knowing what you did?" "It was a mistake, James," she pleads, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I never meant for this to happen." "Stop calling it a mistake," I snap. "A mistake is forgetting to take out the trash, not sleeping with my sister's husband, and letting me think Jake was mine." She recoils like I've slapped her, but I can't stop. The words keep spilling out, fueled by the betrayal, the hurt, the fury that's been festering inside me for too long. "You've ruined everything, Sarah. Our marriage, our family, our lives. And for what? For Eric. For that piece of shit? She doesn't answer, just sobs into her hands, and the sound grates on my nerves. I can't stand to be around her anymore. I need space, air, anything but this suffocating sense of betrayal. I'm going out, I say, grabbing my keys. James, please don't go, she begs, her voice thick with desperation. But I'm already halfway out the door. I'll be back later, I say, not even sure if I mean it. Right now, I just need to get away from her, from this house, from the life that feels like it's collapsing around me. I end up at a bar across town, the kind of place where no one knows your name and no one cares. I order a whiskey, then another, and another, until the burning in my throat dulls the pain in my chest. I sit there for hours, the booze numbing my thoughts, blurring the edges of reality. But it doesn't make the truth go away. It doesn't change the fact that Jake isn't mine, that my marriage is a sham, that my entire life is built on lies. The more I drink, the more the rage festers, growing into something ugly, something that demands an outlet. I decide I need to confront Eric. I can't let him get away with this. He's destroyed my life, and he's not going to walk away unscathed. I want to see the fear in his eyes when he realizes that I'm not going to let this slide. I find myself driving to his house, the alcohol buzzing in my veins, fueling my anger. When I get there, I pound on the door until he opens it. He looks surprised to see me, but he quickly covers it up with that smug, condescending smile that I've always hated. James, what are you doing here? He asks, feigning concern. I don't answer, just shove him back into the house and slam the door behind me. We need to talk, I say, my voice cold and hard. He raises an eyebrow, trying to keep his cool, but I can see the flicker of fear in his eyes. About what? About how you ruined my life, I snap. About how you fucked my wife and lied to me for 2 years. About how Jake isn't mine. His face pales, and for a moment, he looks genuinely scared. But then he recovers, putting on that smarmy grin that makes me want to punch him all over again. James, come on, it was a mistake. We were both drunk. It didn't mean anything. Stop calling it a mistake, I growl, echoing the words I said to Sarah. You don't get to brush this off like it's nothing. You've destroyed everything, Eric, and I'm not going to let you get away with it. What are you going to do, James? He taunts, crossing his arms. You going to hit me again? Go ahead. It won't change anything. I take a step toward him, my hands clenched into fists, but I stop myself, knowing that hitting him won't fix anything, won't make the pain go away. I want to destroy him, but I need to be smart about it. I need to think, to plan, to find a way to make him pay. I'm not going to hit you, I say, my voice low and controlled. But I'm going to make sure you regret ever crossing me. I'm going to ruin you, Eric. And when I'm done, you'll wish you'd never met me. He tries to laugh it off, but I can see the fear in his eyes, the uncertainty. He knows I'm serious, knows that I'm not going to back down. I turn and leave the house, the cold night air sobering me up as I walk back to my car. The next few days are a blur of anger and despair. I can't stand to be around Sarah, can't even look at her without feeling the sting of betrayal. We argue constantly, the fights getting nastier and more vicious with each passing day. The love we once had is gone, replaced by bitterness and resentment. One night, after another screaming match, I storm out of the house and drive aimlessly, trying to escape the suffocating weight of my life. I end up at a hotel, the same one I stayed at after the TV show. I check in, throw myself onto the bed, and try to block out everything. But sleep won't come. My mind is too restless, too full of dark thoughts and unanswered questions. I need to know if Emily is mine. I can't handle the uncertainty any longer. I call the lab demanding to know why the results are delayed, but they give me the same answer as before. There was an issue with the sample, and they need to run additional tests. It feels like a sick joke, like the universe is playing with me, drawing out my torment just for the hell of it. I try to focus on work, but my mind keeps drifting back to Eric, to Sarah, to the life I thought I had. I dig into Eric's past, looking for anything that might give me leverage over him. I find out he's involved in some shady business deals, deals that could land him in serious trouble if they were exposed. I start collecting evidence, piecing together a plan to take him down. I'm going to expose him for the fraud he is, destroy his reputation, and make sure he pays for what he's done. It's the only thing that keeps me going, the only thing that gives me a sense of purpose. But as I dig deeper, I realize that Eric's involvement in my life goes much further than I thought. He's been manipulating me, using me and Sarah for his own gain. The more I uncover, the more the pieces start to fall into place. The financial ties between us, the way he's wormed his way into every aspect of my life. It's all part of his plan, a plan that I've been blind to for far too long. The realization hits me like a ton of bricks. I've been played, manipulated by someone I thought was family. The anger that's been simmering inside me erupts into a full-blown rage, and I know I can't just sit back and let him get away with it. I have to take action, have to protect what little I have left. But before I can make my move, I get hit with another bombshell. I confront Sarah in our bedroom, the place that used to be our sanctuary, now a battlefield littered with broken promises and shattered trust. She's sitting on the edge of the bed, her head in her hands, shoulders shaking with silent sobs. But I'm past feeling sympathy. I've crossed into a place where pity no longer exists, where all that's left is a hollow emptiness. Tell me everything, I demand, my voice cold and unyielding. No more lies, no more half-truths. I want the full story. She looks up at me, her face streaked with tears, eyes swollen and red. James, I didn't mean for any of this to happen. Eric, spare me the excuses, I snap, cutting her off. Just tell me what happened. All of it. She swallows hard, nodding slowly, as if bracing herself for the words that need to come out. It started 2 years ago, she begins, her voice trembling. We were at a party, one of those summer barbecues at Lily's. You remember? I nod, my jaw clenched. I remember that day all too well. It was one of those lazy afternoons, everyone drinking and laughing, the kids playing in the yard. I never imagined, not for a second, what was happening behind my back. Eric, he was being his usual self, she continues, her voice barely above a whisper. Flirting, making jokes. I had too much to drink, and when everyone else was outside, he cornered me in the kitchen. She pauses, looking down at her hands, twisting them together in her lap. I should have stopped him, James. I should have pushed him away, but I didn't. I let it happen. And then it happened again. My blood runs cold. How many times? I ask, my voice a low growl. 3, she admits, her voice cracking. 3 times. The last time was right before Jake was born. After that, I couldn't take it anymore. I ended it, told him to stay away from me. I thought that was the end of it. But then, she trails off, unable to finish the sentence. But I know what she's thinking. But then Jake was born. But then Eric dropped his bombshell on national television. But then our entire world fell apart. Why didn't you tell me, I ask, my voice barely a whisper. Why did you let me believe that Jake was mine? Because I was scared, she says, her voice breaking. I was terrified of losing you, of losing everything we built together. I didn't want to hurt you, James. I love you. I never stopped loving you. Love, I scoff, the word tasting bitter on my tongue. You don't do this to someone you love, Sarah. You don't lie to them, betray them, and then try to cover it up. I know, she sobs, burying her face in her hands. I know, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But her apologies mean nothing to me now. They're just empty words falling on deaf ears. I've heard enough. I can't take any more. I'm leaving, I say, turning toward the door. I can't stay here. Not with you. James, please, she cries, scrambling to her feet. Don't go. We can fix this. We can... There's nothing left to fix, I say, cutting her off. You destroyed everything. I walk out, not bothering to look back. I can't bear to see her face, to see the destruction she's caused. I need to get out of this house, away from the memories, away from the pain. I drive aimlessly for a while, trying to clear my head, trying to figure out what the hell I'm going to do next. The only thing that keeps me going is the thought of confronting Eric, of making him pay for what he's done. I need to see him, to look him in the eye and make him answer for the chaos he's unleashed on my life. I park outside his house, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turn white. I sit there for a moment, trying to calm the storm raging inside me, but it's no use. I'm too far gone, too consumed by anger and hatred to think straight. I get out of the car and march up to his front door, pounding on it with all the force I can muster. It flies open, and there he is, standing in front of me with that same smug grin that's haunted my nightmares for weeks. "James," he says, his voice dripping with false concern. "What a surprise. Come in." I don't wait for an invitation. I shove past him, storming into the house, ready to confront him, to tear him apart. "We need to talk," I say, my voice low and dangerous. He closes the door behind me, then turns to face me, crossing his arms over his chest. "About what?" "You know damn well about what," I snap. "You ruined my life, Eric. You took everything from me, and now you're going to pay." "Is that so?" he sneers, leaning back against the wall, completely unfazed. "And what exactly do you plan to do, James? Hit me again? That didn't work out so well last time, did it?" My hands ball into fists, but I resist the urge to punch him. I've learned my lesson. Violence won't solve anything. But I can't just let him walk away from this unscathed. "I'm going to expose you," I say, my voice shaking with barely controlled rage. "I've been digging into your past, Eric. I know all about your shady business deals, your connections to those criminals. I've got enough evidence to destroy you. And I will." His eyes narrow, the smirk fading from his face. For the first time, I see a flicker of fear in his eyes, and it gives me a sick sense of satisfaction. "You think you can take me down?" He sneers, but there's a tremor in his voice now. "You have no idea who you're dealing with, James. I'm untouchable." "Not anymore," I say, stepping closer, closing the distance between us. "I'm going to make sure you rot in prison for what you've done. And when I'm done with you, everyone will know the truth. You'll be nothing." He lunges at me, his fist connecting with my jaw, sending me stumbling back. I taste blood in my mouth, but the pain only fuels my anger. I fight back, the two of us grappling, throwing punches, crashing into furniture. It's brutal, raw, and ugly, all the pent-up rage and betrayal pouring out in a violent torrent. But then the door bursts open, and we're torn apart by a swarm of police officers. Someone must have called them. Maybe a neighbor, maybe Sarah. It doesn't matter. They pull us apart, shouting orders, pushing us to the ground. "Get off me!" I yell, struggling against the officer, pinning me down. "He's the one you should be arresting. He's the criminal." But they don't listen. They cuff me, hauling me to my feet, shoving me out of the house. I catch a glimpse of Eric, bloodied and bruised, but still smirking, still gloating. They throw me in the back of a squad car, and I sit there seething, helpless as they drive me to the station. I know I'm in deep trouble, assault charges, maybe more, but I can't let this end here. I can't let him win. At the station, they process me, take my statement, and finally release me on bail. I'm exhausted, beaten down, but the fire inside me hasn't dimmed. If anything, it burns hotter, brighter, more intense. I spend the next few days digging deeper into Eric's shady dealings, gathering every piece of evidence I can find. I'm going to expose him, take him down once and for all. But the deeper I dig, the more dangerous it becomes. I start noticing cars following me, strangers watching me. I'm being surveilled, maybe even threatened. Eric's connections run deeper than I thought, and I'm in way over my head. Then the final blow comes. I'm served with divorce papers. Sarah's cutting ties, trying to protect herself, maybe even siding with Eric. It feels like another betrayal, another knife in the back, but it only strengthens my resolve. I have nothing left to lose. The DNA results for Emily come in, but they're inconclusive, leaving me in a torturous limbo. Is she mine, or is she another lie? I can't bear the uncertainty, the not knowing, but I refuse to let it break me. I've never been more focused, more determined. I gather everything I have, every piece of evidence, every scrap of information, and I prepare for one final confrontation. This nightmare has to end, one way or another. It's time to take Eric down, once and for all. I don't wait long before I set my plan in motion. The moment I'm back home, I pull out all the evidence I've collected against Eric. Financial records, emails, recordings. Every shady deal, every underhanded move. I've pieced together his web of lies, and now it's time to confront him with it. I arrange a meeting with Eric at a neutral location, in an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. It's secluded, the kind of place where you can do business without anyone knowing. As I wait for him to arrive, my mind races with what I'm about to do. I'm nervous, but my resolve is solid. This ends tonight. Eric shows up, looking smug as always. But there's a tension in his eyes that wasn't there before. He's wary, cautious, like a predator who senses the trap closing in. "What the hell is this, James?" he says, looking around at the deserted warehouse. "You planning to kill me or something?" I shake my head. "I'm not going to kill you, Eric, but I am going to destroy you." He chuckles, but it's forced. "You've tried that before. Look where it got you. Arrested, humiliated, served with divorce papers. Face it, James, you're out of your league." I ignore his taunts and pull out the folder containing all the evidence I've gathered. I throw it at his feet. "Take a look," I say, my voice cold. "Everything you've done, every dirty deal, every lie, it's all there. You're finished." He glances at the folder, but doesn't pick it up. "So what? You think you're going to take me down with a few papers? I've got friends in high places, James. You're playing with fire." "I know," I reply, stepping closer, my eyes locked on his. "But this time, you're the one who's going to get burned. I've already sent copies of everything to the authorities. If you don't cooperate, they'll be here in minutes." His face darkens. He knows I'm serious. "What do you want?" he finally asks, his voice low. "I want you to confess," I say, "not just to the crimes, but to everything. The affair, the lies, everything you've done to me, to my family. You're going to make a public statement, admit everything, and then you're going to disappear. You're never going to come near me or my family again." He laughs, but there's no humor in it. "You think I'm just going to roll over and do what you say? You've lost your mind." I pull out my phone and press play on a recording of one of his phone calls, a conversation where he's arranging a deal with a known criminal. His face pales as he hears his own voice, the damning evidence clear as day. "I'm done playing games, Eric," I say, my voice steady. "You have two choices. Cooperate, or I'll make sure you go down for everything. And trust me, with what I've got, you'll be lucky to see the outside of a prison cell again." He glares at me, but he knows he's trapped. After a long, tense silence, he finally nods. "Fine, I'll do it." "Good," I say, not letting my relief show. "We'll do it now." I make him record a video confession on my phone, detailing everything. He admits to the affair, the manipulation, the shady deals. His voice is flat, emotionless, but I can see the fear in his eyes. When he's done, I send the video to my lawyer, ensuring there's no way he can back out. "You've ruined me," he says, his voice filled with venom. "No," I reply, meeting his gaze. "You ruined yourself." I leave him there, in the cold, empty warehouse, knowing that his life as he knows it is over. The authorities will take it from here. I've done what I needed to do. Now it's time to pick up the pieces of my own life. The fallout is swift. Eric is arrested within days, the video confession making headlines. The media swarms, everyone eager to tear apart the story of the charming businessman who turned out to be a criminal. My sister Lily is devastated. She calls me sobbing, thanking me for exposing the truth, even though it shattered her world. I tell her she deserves better, and that she'll get through this. But deep down, I know we've both lost something we can never get back. Sarah, on the other hand, tries to reach out, but I shut her down every time. She's desperate to reconcile, to fix what's broken, but there's nothing left to fix. Our marriage is over, and the divorce is finalized quickly. I get full custody of Emily, and despite the pain, I know it's the right decision. Sarah can't be trusted, and I need to protect my daughter from the chaos she's created. Jake is another matter entirely. It tears me apart, but I know he needs to be with his biological family. Eric's family takes him in, and though it breaks my heart to say goodbye, I know it's what's best for him. I make arrangements to see him, to stay in his life, but it will never be the same. I'll always be the man who raised him, but I'm not his father. The truth is brutal, but it's reality. With the legal battles behind me, I focus on rebuilding. The house feels empty without Sarah and Jake, but Emily and I settle into a new routine. I pour everything I have into being the best father I can be, determined to give her the stability and love she deserves. We have our moments, though, those times when the weight of everything hits me all over again. When Emily asks about Jake, about why he doesn't live with us anymore, I struggle to find the right words. I tell her the truth in the simplest way I can, but she's too young to fully understand. All I can do is hold her close and promise her that I'll always be there for her, no matter what. The nights are the hardest. When the house is quiet and the memories creep in, I find myself staring at the ceiling, replaying everything in my mind. The betrayal, the lies, the loss. It all feels like a bad dream I can't wake up from. But then I hear Emily's soft breathing from the next room, and it pulls me back. She's my anchor, the reason I keep going. Time passes, and slowly, the wounds begin to heal. The media frenzy dies down, and life takes on a new rhythm. It's not easy, and the scars are deep, but I'm determined to move forward. I start therapy, working through the trauma, confronting the anger and pain that have been my constant companions. It's a long road, but I'm making progress. One evening, after putting Emily to bed, I sit down at the kitchen table with a glass of whiskey. The familiar burn a reminder of the man I used to be, but tonight it tastes different. Less like an escape, and more like a marker of how far I've come. I open my laptop and start drafting a letter to Jake. It's something I've been meaning to do for a while, a way to stay connected, to let him know that I'm still here for him, even if things are different now. I write about the good times we had, the memories we made, and how much I miss him. I tell him that no matter what, he'll always be a part of my life, a part of my heart. As I finish the letter, a sense of peace washes over me. It's not closure, not yet, but it's a step in the right direction. I've faced my demons, confronted the man who tried to destroy me, and I've come out the other side. I'm not the same man I was before, but maybe that's a good thing. For the first time in a long while, I see a glimmer of hope for the future. It's faint, fragile, but it's there. I'll keep moving forward, one day at a time, for myself, for Emily, and for the life we're building together. The nightmare is over, but the journey is far from complete. There are still battles to fight, wounds to heal, but I'm ready for them. I'm stronger now, more resilient, and I know I'll get through this. We'll get through this together. I'm finally starting to put the pieces of my life back together when Eric resurfaces. This time, it's from prison, where he belongs. I should have known he wouldn't go down without a fight. He sends me a letter, the kind that's meant to unsettle, to make me look over my shoulder wondering what's next. I can almost hear his voice dripping with that same venomous charm he used to manipulate everyone around him. In the letter, he threatens me. He claims to have dirt on me, something from my past that he promises will ruin me if it comes to light. He writes like he's still in control, like he's pulling the strings even from behind bars. But I'm done playing his games. I crumple the letter in my hand, my jaw clenched tight. I'm not the same man I was when this all started. I've been through hell, and I've come out the other side. Eric's threats don't scare me. They only fuel my determination to finish what I started. I call my lawyer, and we arrange a meeting. When I show him the letter, he advises me to take it seriously, but I can see the doubt in his eyes. He's seen men like Eric before, desperate, cornered, trying to claw their way back to the top no matter what. But I'm not going to let Eric intimidate me. Not anymore. I want to hit him where it hurts, I tell my lawyer, my voice steady. I want to make sure he never gets out of that prison. Can we dig up more on him? My lawyer nods, understanding the resolve in my eyes. I'll see what we can find, he says. But you need to be prepared, James. If Eric's bluffing, great. But if he's got something real on you, it could get messy. I think about it for a moment. I've lived a clean life mostly, but everyone has secrets, things they'd rather not see the light of day. If Eric does have something on me, it's buried deep. I decide not to dwell on it. Whatever he has, I'll deal with it when the time comes. For now, I'm focused on one thing: making sure Eric stays locked up for good. The days pass in a blur of meetings, phone calls, and strategy sessions. My lawyer and I dig into Eric's past, finding connections, building a case to keep him behind bars. We find more skeletons in his closet: fraud, embezzlement, connections to organized crime. It's a dark web, and the more we unravel, the more dangerous it becomes. But I'm not backing down. I'm not afraid of Eric anymore. The power he once held over me is gone, replaced by a cold, hard resolve to see this through to the end. Then out of nowhere, another letter arrives. This one isn't from Eric, but from someone in his circle. It's a veiled warning, telling me to back off, to stop digging. It's clear Eric's friends aren't happy with the attention he's drawing, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to shut me up. I feel the old fear creeping back, but I push it down. I can't let them scare me off, not when I'm so close. I decide to turn the tables on Eric. I reach out to a contact I have in the media, someone who's been itching for a scoop on Eric's downfall. I hand over everything we've uncovered, making sure the story gets out before Eric can make his move. If he wants to play dirty, I'll beat him to the punch. The story breaks and it's explosive. Every dirty detail of Eric's life is splashed across the headlines. The media frenzy is relentless, and Eric's connections scramble to distance themselves from the fallout. He's exposed, humiliated, and there's no way he can use his influence to get out of this one. But it's not over, not yet. A few days later, I get a call from my lawyer. He sounds tense, urgent. "James, you need to come in. We've uncovered something disturbing." My heart sinks, but I steel myself for whatever's coming. I drive to his office, my mind racing with possibilities. When I arrive, he hands me a file, his expression grim. I open it, my eyes scanning the contents, and I feel my stomach drop. It's a police report from years ago, something I'd almost forgotten about. A bar fight in my 20s where things got out of hand. I was drunk, angry, and I lashed out. A guy ended up in the hospital and I was arrested, but the charges were dropped and I thought it was behind me. I never told anyone, not even Sarah, but Eric found it. He dug it up and now he's using it as leverage, trying to blackmail me into helping him reduce his sentence. I sit there staring at the file, my mind racing. This could ruin everything. If this comes out, it'll destroy the life I've worked so hard to rebuild. But I can't let Eric win, not after everything he's done. I look up at my lawyer, my decision made. We fight, I say. We don't give in to his threats. We expose him for what he is, a desperate, manipulative bastard. My lawyer nods, his respect for me evident in his eyes. "I'll make sure this doesn't go any further," he says. "But be prepared, James. This could get ugly." I leave his office, my mind buzzing with the weight of what's to come. I know this won't be easy, but I've come too far to back down now. I've lost too much, sacrificed too much, to let Eric drag me down with him. The next few weeks are tense. I'm constantly looking over my shoulder, waiting for the other shoe to drop. But nothing happens. No more letters, no more threats. It's like Eric's gone silent, and I can't help but wonder what he's planning. Then one morning, I get the call I've been waiting for. Eric's been transferred to a maximum security prison, his sentence extended due to new evidence we uncovered. He's done. There's no way he's getting out now. I feel a rush of relief, but it's bittersweet. The fight is over, but the scars remain. I know I'll never be the same. The man I was before all this started is gone, replaced by someone harder, more jaded. But I'm also stronger, more determined to protect what's left of my life. Sarah moves away, unable to face the community after everything that's happened. She tries to contact me, to explain, to apologize again, but I don't respond. I've said all I needed to say. It's time to move on. Lily is rebuilding her life, slowly but surely. She's hurt, devastated by Eric's betrayal, but she's resilient. We've grown closer through all of this, supporting each other as we navigate the wreckage of our lives. She started therapy, and I'm proud of her for taking that step. As for me, I focus on Emily. She's my world now, the light that guides me through the darkness. We've started going to therapy together, working through the trauma of what we've been through. It's helping, slowly but surely. But there's a part of me that feels empty, a strange mix of relief and sorrow. The fight is over, but the damage is done. I know I'll never fully heal from what happened, but I'm learning to live with it. One evening, after putting Emily to bed, I sit outside on the porch, a glass of whiskey in hand. The night is quiet, the stars shining brightly above. I think about everything that's happened, the journey I've been on, and I feel a sense of closure, but also a deep, lingering sadness. The fight is over, but the scars will remain forever. I'll carry them with me, a reminder of the man I was, the man I've become. I've lost so much, but I've gained something too. A new sense of purpose, a determination to protect what's left of my life. As I sit there, the cool night air wrapping around me, I take a deep breath, letting it out slowly. The fight is over, and for the first time in a long while, I feel a sense of peace. The past is behind me, and the future is uncertain, but I'm ready for whatever comes next. I'll keep moving forward, one day at a time, for Emily, for myself, for the life I'm rebuilding from the ashes. And I'll do it with the strength I've found, the resilience I've gained, and the determination that's carried me through the darkest of times. The fight is over, but my journey is just beginning. The fight is over, but I'm left with a strange emptiness. The relief of having won, of knowing Eric is locked away for good, is tempered by the scars left behind. I've spent so long consumed by anger, by the need for revenge, that now, in the quiet aftermath, I'm not sure who I am anymore. Emily is my anchor. She's the reason I get up in the morning, the reason I keep pushing forward. We've settled into a new routine, one that feels almost normal, but there's a tension beneath the surface. She's young, but she senses the changes. She knows something's different, even if she can't put it into words. One evening, as we sit on the couch watching one of her favorite cartoons, she turns to me, her eyes wide and serious. "Daddy, will Jake ever come back?" The question hits me like a punch to the gut. I've been dreading this moment, knowing it would come eventually, but I'm still not prepared. I take a deep breath, trying to find the right words. "Jake's with his other family now," I say softly, "but he still loves you, and we can visit him whenever you want." She frowns, not fully understanding. "But why did he leave?" How do I explain this to her? How do I make sense of something that doesn't even make sense to me? "Sometimes families change," I say, choosing my words carefully. "But no matter what, you and I are always going to be together, I promise." She seems to accept this, snuggling closer to me, her little hand gripping mine. I hold her tight, feeling a wave of protectiveness wash over me. I've lost so much, but I won't lose her. I'll do whatever it takes to keep her safe, to give her the stable, loving home she deserves. The weeks turn into months, and life slowly starts to find a new rhythm. I continue therapy, working through the trauma, the anger, the guilt. It's a slow process, but I'm making progress. I'm learning to let go of the past, to focus on the future, on building a new life for Emily and me. Sarah moves away, disappearing from our lives like a ghost. I hear from mutual friends that she's struggling, trying to start over in a new town, far from the scandal that's destroyed her reputation. A part of me feels sorry for her, but I can't afford to dwell on it. She made her choices, and now she's living with the consequences. Lily and I grow closer, our relationship strengthened by the shared pain of betrayal. She's rebuilding her life too, slowly but surely, and we lean on each other for support. We've both lost so much, but we're finding a way forward. One day I receive a letter from Eric. It's the first contact I've had from him since he was transferred to the maximum security prison. My hands shake as I open it, not sure what to expect. But the words inside are different from the venomous threats he sent before. It's an apology. A genuine one, or at least it seems that way. He writes about the things he did, the people he hurt, and how he's finally realizing the consequences of his actions. He says he's sorry, not just for the affair, but for everything. For manipulating Sarah, for destroying my life, for hurting Lily. I don't know if I believe him. It could be another one of his games, another attempt to manipulate me. But there's a part of me that wants to believe he's capable of change, that even someone as twisted as Eric can find redemption. I don't respond. I don't know if I ever will, but I keep the letter, tucking it away in a drawer, a reminder that even the darkest souls can sometimes find a glimmer of light. As the year draws to a close, I find myself reflecting on everything that's happened. The pain, the betrayal, the loss. It's all still there, but it's different now. It's no longer a raw wound, but a scar, something that's a part of me but doesn't define me. Emily and I are stronger now. We've weathered the storm and we're still standing. There are still challenges ahead, but I know we'll face them together. One evening, I take Emily to the park, the same park we used to go to as a family before everything fell apart. She runs ahead laughing as she chases after a butterfly, her joy infectious. I watch her, my heart swelling with love and pride. She's resilient, just like her dad. As I sit on the bench, watching the sun set over the trees, I feel a sense of peace that I haven't felt in a long time. The fight is over, and for the first time, I'm looking forward to the future. I'm not the man I was before all this started. I've changed, been hardened by the fire, but I've also been forged into something stronger. I know who I am now, and I know what matters most. Emily, my daughter, my heart. As the last light of the day fades, Emily runs back to me, her cheeks flushed with excitement. She climbs onto the bench beside me, wrapping her arms around my neck. "I love you, Daddy," she whispers. "I love you too, sweetheart," I reply, holding her close. "Always." The darkness settles in around us, but I'm not afraid. I've faced my demons and I've come out the other side. The fight is over, but our journey is just beginning. And whatever comes next, I know we'll face it together.